Thank you. I'm going to ask if you guys could stay here while we hear from PPIC, because the two studies or the work that's going on, I think, is very complementary. I'd like to welcome Ryan, and I take it it's Garay.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
He does that on
did you have
purpose.
in mind that they would sit over on the side or return to the audience? Because I think that they're, are you just having one person come up here? I want to make sure there was no confusion over the logistics.
Over who's who?
No, over where people are sitting.
Oh, okay.
We have enough room for all of them on that one side? Okay, good.
Yeah, yeah, we do. Thank you. And we just actually really, Senator Nielsen and I heard about this yesterday because we have, last year we had a bill asking for a great deal more research to be done. And we understand that some of it is being addressed by a study that the PPIC is doing, and so we wanted to hear more about that.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman and committee members. My name is Riken Gritay. I'm a research fellow at the Public Policy Institute of California, and I'm also a professor of sociology at UC Davis. I want to do a couple of things here. One is just sort of sketch the nature of this project and then give you kind of an update of where we are in the process. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, push the button on the mic. I'm not sure that it's on.
The red light is on, so that's a good sign, right? Okay. So this project started sort of officially in 2013 when the Board of State and Community Corrections voted to endorse an MOU establishing this partnership, and the partnership is a $0 contract. But PPIC doesn't do contracts with state government, the project really came about because of realignment, and in part because of the statutory mission of the BSCC to provide information about what's effective in terms of strategies for dealing with offenders. And as a research institute, those are questions that we're very interested in too. What kinds of things are effective? What kinds of policies and programs should we be promoting in the state? And this sort of, as everyone has sort of said, kind of a vacuum of information about that. So it was a sort of a clear role for our institute to play in that. And so what we've done is to design essentially a pilot study that will assist 11 counties around the state to develop the kind of data that's necessary for identifying effective strategies, and also to look at the effects of first and foremost, realignment on recidivism patterns, but other policy changes that come along as well. Part of this project is certainly in the service of the creation of a data system, but it's also about PPIC going around to the state and essentially providing technical assistance. A lot of what we do is essentially, I think, teach counties about if the concern is to what's effective, then there's certain kinds of data that have to be put together in order to try and answer those questions. And that's where sort of the research expertise of PPIC comes in to help that. So the project is really about collecting data from the individual counties on the realigned populations and looking specifically at the types of services, sanctions, and other kind of supervision strategies that are that those offenders are being subject to. The data is individual level, sort of in some ways different and smaller scale because it's 11 counties, but it's sort of a deeper dive into the experiences that those offenders are having. And our job really is to be a kind of connector and to link the data that we essentially guide the counties in extracting from their systems. That data our job is to then figure out the ways in which it would be linked to the data at the state level, which will allow us to link those offenders to the recidivism outcomes that we can capture from the Department of Justice and the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. So that's a little bit about the project. People always are interested in the 11 counties, so I'll just sort of list the 11 counties. It's Orange County, Los Angeles, San Bernardino, Kern, Fresno, Stanislaus, Sacramento, San Francisco, Contra Costa, Humboldt, and Shasta. Hopefully that added up to 11.
Yeah, that's 11.
I have to go south to north in the state. So we've been working over the last couple of years, multiple visits to the counties to essentially court them to participate in the county. All the counties, except for one that we went to try and court to be involved in the study, agreed to be involved. There's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of interest for doing this kind of work. We're an institute. We're not asking, that's a nonprofit. We're not asking for funds from them. I think that probably helps. And there's just a real desire for precisely this kind of information and a lack of knowledge about how to link things up to existing sources. And the other thing I should say is that our approach here is really to be pretty low tech, that this is establishing a state-level database, but it's really leveraging the existing technologies. And where counties are not collecting the kind of data that are necessary, we're sort of a kind of nudging sort of source to get them to try and capture that kind of information. So last year we started with the initial step in this process, which was to get the counties to give us all of their realigned offenders of PRCS, or 1170 H offenders that have been identified in their county, and to provide us with some basic information about them. And then our job is to take that information, standardize it across the counties, which is kind of a huge undertaking in and of itself, but which will be easier the next time around. And then to bring that data to the state and link it to offender history and get arrest, reconviction data, return to CDCR data, and so forth. And because we're working with these same counties, we're also capturing an element of the realigned population that's been sort of missing, which are, we don't know much about the recidivism patterns of 1170H offenders who are released. We don't know a heck of a lot about offenders that are under supervision that are re-entering local jails as well. So this data is going to reveal some things about the hidden piece of the puzzle that we don't have much information on now. So, so that data, we met in February to sort of cement the relationship with CDCR and DOJ about linking this very enthusiastic kind of partnership there now to, we'll provide them with the data that we've got from the counties and share it with them. They'll link it to the records and feed it back to us. The relationship between BSCC and PPIC and all of this is that we're kind of doing the design and implementation of this piece of it, but the idea is ultimately that we'll hand off, so we'll work out the kinks and then hand off the sort of the management phase of this to the BSCC, where they can consider expanding it to include other counties or to collect the data in different kinds of ways to leverage new things that come up and so forth. So right now we're in the process, in the next couple of months, hopefully we'll do the link with the state data and start producing some research reports out of that. And then also around, as that's happening concurrently, we're also going back to the counties to start asking for that wider expansive data, which will encompass what offenders are actually getting. And from there, we start to build the basis on which we can identify effective strategies. The data set that ultimately will be produced out of this is going to be available it'll be housed at the BSCC and available through application from other researchers, the counties, people who might want to exploit it to contribute to the body of knowledge about what's effective. The timeline for us to turn it over to BSCC is 2017, and we probably won't step away completely at that point, but that's essentially the current status of the plan. So I've kind of talked a lot, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to know that the Public Policy Institute is involved in gathering, I think, this very important data. You know, we often talk about the non-nons, the non-serious, and non-violent, and non-sexual. And it's my understanding that they're classified that as a part of AB 109 based on their last crime. It doesn't go back into their history to find out if they are violent, if they have had sexual crimes. As a part of your analysis, I if it's not incorporated already, I think it'd be interesting to see that these non-nons that do recidivate, how many of them stray into these serious violent sexual crimes that may have had a prior history of having those crimes, so that we understand whether or not our definition of a non, as far as putting a risk to public safety is really an accurate measure or not. I don't know if you have any plans of doing that.
Yes, specifically in regards to the people who are PRCS, released from state prison, whose current commitment offense is not violent, not serious, or not sexual. Those individuals, we have quite a bit of detail, we'll have quite a bit of detail about their engagement with the CDCR system. And so we'll know whether or not they've had previous commitments to state prison. We also have their DOJ records, so we'll know whether or not they've been convicted for serious and violent offenses. So the DOJ, putting the two kind of state level pieces together gives us quite a bit of rich detail about their criminal history.
And so you expect to have the results of your study done around 2017?
Yes, but we're aiming to have intermediate projects as well. So this first phase, which is essentially about doing the plumbing of how the data is going to move, we can write a report out of that, which will tell sort of the missing piece of the recidivism story, which is what are the recidivism outcomes for the 1170H? And we can tell of the people who were released to county custody, the PRCS, what is their return to jail custody, which is a kind of missing piece as well. And we also have data on state parolees. We'll find out what their revocation and return to custody in county jails will be. So all of those pieces have been sort of the source of speculation. We know some things about the recidivism patterns of people released from CDCR, but we know nothing about the other folks.
Well, thank you. I think you're providing a very essential missing link to all of these questions.
Senator Nielsen.
Sir, let me ask you to incorporate in your thinking another classification. I often said there's no such thing as a non. And it's a bit of nonsense, and it raises expectations of the public. I don't think anyone can argue that people who have been sent out into our communities, a lot of them are not very serious risk to the public. An issue that words are important. In considering the background and the history, repetitious and escalating behavior. But the same as in society. If you keep doing something over and over again, and particularly with criminal offenders, parolees or parole violators at the Board of Parole hearings or prison terms, I built that into regulation and statute, whereby then we took it into account. If you did better, then the consequences were better. Very few did that. Many were repetitious, many escalating. Look at that kind of a classification criteria.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good insight. We'll take that. Because we have the data on, we'll have the data on the criminal history, we'll know about repetition. But I hadn't thought of looking specifically at individuals whose repetitive behavior seems to be moving in a particular upward direction. That's a good insight.
I can't tell you how many 273s I've seen go to 245s to 187.
Right.
Okay, so thank you, and we'll incorporate that. Just a quick question. Are you going to have your data county by county?
Well, for the 11 counties, yes.
For the 11
Yes.
counties. Yeah, I think that will be excellent. Because while I understand the nuances of comparisons county to county, I do think it is appropriate because those are the things that give us clues as to what might work and what might be effective. So thank you very much for that. Just a short question for the board, and then we're going to go to public comment because we do have to adjourn at 12. What do you see as the next steps in this? Again, I want to thank you for the hard work, for the definitions, for laying the groundwork for us. This is incredibly important work, but we are trying to move toward evidence-based, information-based decision-making as opposed to more reactive, piecemeal decision-making. And we need to improve our database. So where do you go, once you get, we're all waiting to have the website go up with the data. How often are you planning to update it, and what do you see as your next steps?
Okay, thank you, and thank you all. I think this has been a very, very helpful discussion, so we're really pleased to have the opportunity to come and talk today. Thank you, Senator Hancock, for suggesting the hearing. Our priorities moving forward are to really enhance the availability and the ease of access to not just the performance metrics part of our data clearinghouse, but more information sources, some of which we've talked about today and that we think we can add. I think that there has been this anxious anticipation for the BSCC to deliver on these responsibilities for creating and maintaining a robust data clearinghouse. The performance metrics, and when those county-by-county reports are available, which will be very soon, we know that's going to help refine a whole bunch of questions. People will begin looking at that, and David and our colleagues are going to be available to assist in interpretation and so forth. I think that will lead to more questions, more suggestions, and further ways to improve that. We also have, I'll just mention a couple of other things. We also have numerous grant programs that have evaluation components. We want that information to be easily available for everybody who is interested to see. And as we begin to collect further data down the road, we'll just keep adding that to the website. So we view this as an ongoing conversation, and we're really at, I think, a point of burgeoning information that you're going to be able to see.
Thank you.
Oh, and did I mention annually is the frequency for updating of the performance metrics? Is that a June date that we'll do the updating?
It depends when our data sources release their figures.
Okay.
I'd like you to look at that if you could, because quite frankly, we need the data in time to inform our budget and legislative decisions. We ought to be able to get it when we reconvene each year in January. If there's a problem that some data sources only report in August, let us know that, because we might want to fix that to the extent that they're state agencies. No, seriously. Okay. You know, getting something right after we pass a budget is going to be maybe outdated when we start working on the new budget in February or March of the next year is not optimally helpful.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Thanks very much for that. Oh, Senator Bell, just another quick comment.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I think the legislative intent that we have here is, you know, collecting data is not what we asked for. That the next step is to do what you said, is to find out what are the strengths of certain counties, which ones have the best results, and then we take appropriate action to design programs that work and seek to emphasize those programs. And then the ones that don't work, we have to look at whether or not we're, you know, wasting the taxpayers' money funding those programs. So I think our job is to get that information and have you tell us, after you look at the county results, which programs are doing well and why, and then point out the strong points so that we can see what causes them to do what they do well. And I don't think any county is perfect, but I think we need to see those results in that way so we can work with Senator Stone, myself, other counties that, you know, anything we can do to make our systems work better. And that's our job. So I think we have to emphasize that we're looking for which county programs work the best, which ones have good, strong aspects, and to take those and come up with a set of recommendations that we can use to make the system work better.
Thank you. And then a final comment from...
I just want to thank the panel. Your presentation was excellent, and I was deeply concerned starting this that we were just in the business of collecting data. It's not about the data, it's about the outcome. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I couldn't put it better myself. Thank you, Senator Anderson, and thank all of you for your work and for coming today and sharing your information. We appreciate it. Are there comments from the public? If so, I see one person who, no, who's that person? Darby Kiernan.
Hi, I'm Darby Kernan. I'm the Administration of Justice Representative for CSAC. I just wanted to come up today. We've been partners with the BSCC and PPIC on a lot of the data and work that the report is talking about. And one of the things I just wanted to focus on is that this report, in my new job here in CSAC, is to provide this information to all of the counties so they know what is out there and how they can look at what they're doing and take that information. I think we at CSAC kind of frown upon trying to make counties, we don't want to compare county to county. We want our counties to be able to use the data to improve what they're doing within their own counties. So, but I just wanted to be here to support the work that they're doing, and it's been very helpful to all of the counties who are using this and using it to move forward. And another point of it is that growth funding. Part of what the legislature has done in the future is the growth money coming in 16, 17, there's a portion of it that's competitive, and it's based on the outcomes that counties are producing. And by having better outcomes, you're going to get more funding for your county. So a lot of the work that is being done and pointing out, we're using that, and then those counties are getting those funds to be reinvested into their programs and reduce recidivism in their communities. So I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you're working on those incentives. And oftentimes I found in implementing really new approaches, peer-to-peer discussion is the best thing, because people can really say to their peers, I can't imagine what to do with this one, can you? And oftentimes their colleague will have an idea. And so to the extent that CSAC can help with that, and the BSCC and PPIC is doing very important work, I think we have a really good groundwork here to move forward. So thank you all so much for participating. We're going to adjourn